Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. As promised, today we are going to build our very first DBT model. But before that, we need to understand what exactly is the meaning of DBT model. So let's jump into our screen model. Now, in the simplest terms, it is a file, .sql file, right, in which includes a SQL select statement, right. This is the simplest definition of a DBT model. Now you will say that whether selecting some columns directly from your source is a DBT model. Is that the end? No, it's not just the end. It is one type of model, right, which we call it as a source model, or which we call it as a precisely staging model, right. But why do we do modeling, right? We have to apply some transformation, we have to apply some logic. So there are layers applied in here, right? So the very first layer will be, is your source data, right? Now we are going to call out as a source data, which is your snowflake, right? Now after that there comes a staging model, right? There comes a staging model. So this will be staging model. What does it contain? It contains a select statement. So select all of the columns from the source model, or you can also say select the relevant column that you need from your source data, right? But as the best practices, a staging model should include all of the columns that are present in the source data, so that you can not only use for one final model but for other final model as well, right? Now after this, now after this staging models, we are having a intermediate model, right? We are having a intermediate model. So this will be your intermediate model, right? Now intermediate model has some lot of logics, right? So let's say if it is a complex model logic that has been broken into several CTEs, common table expressions, right? That is your intermediate model. An intermediate model can also be defined as a model which is present between staging model and your final model, right? It is not going to directly feed into the Snowflake warehouse, which in turn will directly feed into the Power BI dashboard. No. So after this intermediate model, we have, what do we have? We have a final model, which is our, so we can say this is our final model, right? So this is the overall model diagram or data flow that happens inside DBT data modeling, right? So firstly there is a source data, then we have the staging model which contains the column from source models, right? Then we have the intermediate model, which in turn includes the complex logic breaking into the several CTs. Then we have the final model, right? That will be directly feeding into the dashboard created by data analyst, right? So this is the overall overview of what DBT model is and what are the several layers of DBT model, right? With that, let's jump into our DBT cloud screen. As I told you in the earlier video that DBT is a tool not for extraction, it is just for transformation, right? So it has to read data from a warehouse, which in our case we have selected Snowflake, right? So we have to also log into our Snowflake, go to our worksheets, right? And I have given these database command, schema command, the warehouse creation command in the description, and also the table creation command, okay, and with the insert sequence as well. So overall we are going to use this table which is present in Google Events database and attendance records schema. This is the simplest table and simplest model we are going to create today. So I will be just showing you the data. Select star from, so we have the table name as, okay, so the table name is post event data. Okay, and let me run it. The shortcut key is Control plus Enter. So as you can see, we have the data in which there is a topic name, right? So it is the session data after session data, in which for all of the topic name we have whether the student has registered or not, if registered whether he has attended the event or not, and also the student name, right? So this is the data that we are going to use in our DBT, right? Now let me go into the DBT screen and let me go into develop section and then into our cloud IDE part. Now in earlier video we ended with creating our feature branch and we checked out also in our IDE, right? So remember that always you have to work in your feature branch, not directly in the production branch and not directly also in the dev branch, right? So I am currently in my feature branch. If I need to change it, what I'll be using this option which is change branch. I will be hovering over this and I can select the available branches which are available, right? So I will be cancelling this and let us see. Before that, make sure that you are in the feature branch, right? If not, then you would be having an option to change branch here. Let me comment the changes. So if you have any uncommitted changes, right, you will not be able to see this feature which is change branch, and also this create a pull request on GitHub, right? So after only committing the changes you will be able to see these two features, right? Now we have this file explorer section in which the very root directory is the name of the repository which we have given while configuring the DBT and GitHub integration, right? This is also called DBT project, right? Now here we have several folders. Inside that we have analysis folder, by default is created by DBT. We have macros folder again by default, which is the advanced section of DBT that we will talk in the later sections. We have models folder in which we are going to create our models. Then we have the seed section, we have snapshot sections, we have test section for creating unit testing, and these two files are the files which got created once we initialized DBT project, and this is the dbt project.yaml file. For now it is not that much important, but let's jump into the model creation part. Before model creation part, I have created one subfolder here. So how you can create? There is a 3 dot available here and you can create a folder and you can give a name called staging, right? Now under that staging I am going to create my very first model, and please make sure you follow or you understand how I am naming it as per the naming convention, because it is a staging model. So I will be naming it as stg underscore, right? Now what is my database? My database is Google Events. What is my schema? My schema is attendance record. So I will just say attendance record as a short form, right? Now what is my table name? Post event data. I will be writing the full name, post event data dot SQL. I will explain you why I have written this way, right? You can also shorten this Google event, right? It all depends on the how the client needs. So this is how I have named it. I will be creating it. So now my stage file is created. I will be selecting it. Just make sure you see here. So I have not written anything. Let me erase this part, and you will see a lineage is automatically created, which shows that this is a model, right? There is no backwards or forward model. You can see there is only one single model because that is only created, right? Now follow here. I will be writing one CT with source as select star from. Okay, select star from what was our table name? Google events dot attendance records, okay, attendance records dot post event data, right? Select what are the various column names. First is topic name, second is we have has registered, third is has attended, and fourth is student name from source. So this is the simple CT. The very first CT is selecting all of the data from this table, right? And then we have a final select clause which is exactly specifying what are the column names, right? So this is the DBT best practices for staging models. We always have to provide the column names. There should not be any select star in the final select statement, right? Now let me indent this code. It is the best practices to always indent your code properly. I will be saving it. So now you have successfully created your staging model. Now let's use this staging model and let's create our final model. Okay, why I am calling it as final model and not the intermediate model? Because I am not going to do any complex transformation. Let me show you what problem statement we are going to solve and how we are going to build our model. This is a problem statement creating an interactive session to analyze the student attendance and the registration across different topics, right? So we have to identify topics with highest registration but with low attendance and vice versa, right? And why we are doing this? Because let's say there is an organization which wants to use this data and can improve their session to engage more and more students into their sessions, right? Let us jump back into the DBT screen, and now let me create a final model inside the models directory. Or we can also create folder, let's say final layer, okay, create. Once we have created our final layer, right, we can create a file by clicking on the three dots, okay, and now let's give it a name, right? We can call it final underscore, okay. Let me give the name as student attendance analysis dot SQL. Now this file is created. Let's start writing our code as per the problem statement. Now before that I am going to show you one thing which is lineage. So if I will say select star from, okay, just look carefully here. Here, the moment I have used this ref function of DBT, the lineage has been updated, okay. It shows that this particular model, final student attendance analysis, has getting the data or has been feeding the data with the help of this staging model, right? So this is the usage of ref function and the power of lineage inside DBT, right? So how we are going to start our statement is with let's say staging data as selecting all of the data from the staging model that we are having. Select topic name. We have this, we have to get the total number of students as well. So count star as total students. Now in order to get total number of students who has attended or total number of students who has registered, we have to apply a case statement. So case when has registered, then 1, else 0. Why I am not equating any value to this has registered? Because it is already in the boolean form, right, which is true false here, right? So that is why I am not equating to any value. After this I have to do the sum of it. Sum of case statement, as this will be our registered students. After that another case statement similar to this but having attendee in it, but having attended in it. So this will be has attended, and here also we will be having attended students. Okay. After that our problem statement says that identify topic with high registration but low attendance. So we will be calculating a percentage also here, right? Sorry, we will be calculating the average as well. So average of case when has attended, then 100, else 0. And just to get the right data in the float form, let me round it to 2 as attendance percentage from our CT name, which is staging data. Because we are using some aggregations here, average, sum, count star, we need to group the data with the non-aggregate columns. So group by topic name, order by topic name. That's it. We have to save it, and if you want to preview your data, right, how your data looks like, you can just click on preview. So once we previewed, we have an error which says that at line number 9 we have an unexpected parenthesis. Let's look at the error. Okay, so we have missed the end clause here. So let me write it, and here as well. Let me save it and let me preview the data. While you preview data, you need to understand that DBT is internally going to take out this query and compile against the Snowflake warehouse, right? So actually when you preview data, right, your queries are running inside Snowflake, right, which you can see it in the query history page, right? So here you can see how it has done. Select star from all of your SQL definition, and it has failed. And here as well you can check your what was the error at what line, right? So now we will have already saved it. We will click on preview and we should be good now, because there are no errors as we can see in our file. Okay, there is an error. Okay, why there is an error? The moment we use this ref function, right, DBT will try to search for this model in your Snowflake as a view or as a table, but it is not present as such, right? Why? Because we have not built our model, right? So DBT build command is going to build this model as a SQL view. So once I will click on this build command, it is going to compile your code and it is also going to create the view, right? So it is building currently. As you can see, DBT build has been succeeded, and if you open this and if you see this, right, in the log section you will be having a detailed log section. It will say that start SQL view creation, DBT P Chauhan, this model name, right, and then it has successfully created it, right? Now why DBT P Chauhan is because the same schema has been configured in your DBT profile. That is the reason. We can change it as well, okay, or we can leave it as it is as well. It's up to you. Okay, but because now it is built, this model will be able to finally preview the data. So now our model is built, so we can successfully preview the data. So here you can see we have got the 5 rows because we had a total of 5 topics in our data, which are these. We have total number of students as well, we have registered student, we have attended student, and we have the respective attendance percentage as well, right? So using this data, the event organization can focus more on engaging the students in the respective topics or the session, right? So with this, we have finally created our DBT model, right? The task is not done yet, we have only previewed the data, right? I'll show you one more thing. Once you select this entire thing, right, we have a thing called compiled selection. Even if you don't select it, it will entirely compile the model, right? So whatever the code is present, it will compile all of them. Now if you want to compile only this code, right, it will say compile selection. So let me click on compile selection, and it will show you how it is interpreting this ref function internally. So as you can say, it is using as this, right? So whatever the data is present. So this model was created in the DBT P. Chauhan schema and under Google Events database, right? So this ref function is internally doing this. It is going to select the data from your respective model that has been created in the respective schema and database, right? Now if I come over here in the white page, and if I compile the entire code, you will be able to see what exactly is going to run in your Snowflake environment. So here you can see this is the CTE, or this is the SQL statement which is going to run against your Snowflake warehouse, right? That is about preview section and compile section, right? The format section is going to beautify your code, is going to format your code, okay? Now let me click on build section. Once I click on build, right, I can come up here and I can see my progress, whether it is running, whether it has got some errors, what is the time taking, and whether it is success or not. So as you can finally see, my model has been successfully created, and here I can see that it created a view in the DBT P. Chauhan schema and in as this model name, right? Also, not only this, you will be able to see your you will be able to see your model under this. So if I click on this, I will be able to see my schema. I will be able to see my 2 views, which are final student attendance analysis, right? These are all the columns that we created. Now we have another, we should be having another model, that is our staging model. So this is that. So this is our staging model. So every model got created as a view inside SQL. We do have the option of creating as a table, okay? We have to use the config function for this, which we are going to discuss in the next video. So because we have created our model, let's commit our changes, okay? Staging and final model created with a proper message, of course. I will write commit changes. Once I have committed my changes, I will be seeing this option. I have to click on it, create a pull request on GitHub. I will be clicking on create pull request, and I will be adding my description that I have built 2 models with staging model and final model. You can also write the full name, right, which is the best practices. I am not writing for the time commitment. We have reviewers. You can also select reviewers that should review your code, okay? For now, what I will do, I will go ahead and I will create my pull request. Once the pull request has been created, the reviewer will review your code and will see what are all the file changes that you have done, and after looking into it whether it is good or not, what it will do, it will finally review changes. Okay, it will say that, hey, it looks good to me. Okay, so once I have committed my code, I can go and successfully merge it. But if you have added some reviewers on it, they will be able to review your model. Remember that the author will not be review or approve their own model. Okay, so here I will be just confirming the merge request. Okay, so this branch has been successfully merged into the main branch. I know that this has to be merged in the dev branch, but for the sake of this video, I got merged into the main branch, but this has to be in the dev branch only, and from dev branch it has to be in the merged into the main branch. So that was about today's video, creation of DBT model. Along with that, we understood what is a DBT model, what are the different layers of DBT model, what is staging model, intermediate model, and we also created our very first DBT model. We learned about compiling the code, what is preview section, what does DBT build command does, and all of that. With that, see you in the next video with more advanced features of DBT models and some important DBT command. With also we will be able to see that what is DBT project.yaml file. We will also see DBT sources. So stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for watching.